We're going to go over your CBA that you took for the third 6 weeks, and you're going to grade it like we did before and see how you did. So number one, you were supposed to look at the table and decide what the pattern was and then figure out how many triangles they would need if they wanted a perimeter of 24 units. And I told you, I think I told just about every class, you don't have to know anything about perimeter. You just needed to understand the table. So on the table, how do you get from 1 to 3 and 2 to 4? It has to be the same operation every time. And every time when you take the number of triangles and you add 2, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. 2 plus 2, 4. 3 plus 2, 5. So if we wanted to have a perimeter of 24, 24 would be on this side of the table. What would we add to 2 to get 24? Okay, 23 plus 2? No. 22 plus 2? Yes. Okay, number 2. A recipe calls for 3 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. How many cups of flour would be needed if the amount of sugar was increased to 12 cups? I expected to see hundreds of these all over my room all day long. And I didn't see as many as I wanted to, but I did see several of you using it. Okay, we're talking about 3 cups, okay, and 2 cups. So just cups is not enough for the words. We need 3 cups of what? Flour. And what are we comparing it to? The cups of sugar. Those are the words flour and sugar. And the given information is how they're comparing those two things together. What is that initial ratio, that first ratio that they give? How does the 3 cups of flour compare to the sugar? Well, there's 2 cups of sugar. For every 3 cups of flour, there are 2 cups of sugar. So then how many cups of flour would be needed if we increase the amount of sugar to 12 cups? Some people might put 12 in this one, but they're saying that's 12 cups of, that the amount of sugar was increased to 12. Okay, how did I teach you guys to do this? Cross multiply, and then divide your answer by the one you haven't used yet. 12 times 3 is 36, and 36 divided by 2 is 18. Number 3. Frank typed 4 pages in 24 minutes in keyboarding class. Rosa typed 6 pages in 30 minutes. Which of the following statements is true? Frank typed 1 page per 6 minutes. So here's going to be a WGU table for Frank. We are comparing Frank and Rosa, but for each one we're comparing the pages to the minutes. So pages to minutes. And for Frank, the given information is 4 pages in 24 minutes. Okay? For Rosa, let's change the color to more of a rose color. Rosa pages and minutes for her as well. She did 6 pages in 30 minutes. Now, when I was talking to one of the students, the only numbers that they even saw were the 24 and the 30. This was a sneaky question because here they wrote the numbers out in words. That's, those are still numbers. Okay, so which of the following statements are true? Frank typed 1 page per 6 minutes. So is that true? If he typed 1 page, would that be 6 minutes? One thing you can do to check it is cross multiply. 24 times 1, 24. 6 times 4, 24. Or You could also just divide 24 minutes by 4 pages, and that's 6 pages per minute. So that is true. I'll put a T out here, I guess. Oh, true. Rosa typed faster than Frank. Well, let's see how many she did. She did, let's just take 30 divided by 6. That's 5 pages per minute. Okay, in 1 minute, that was 5 pages. If you want to double check that, that's not right. That should be 1 page, 5 minutes. There we go. Okay, so and if you want to double check that, 30 times 1 is 30, 5 times 6 is 30, and if it takes you 5 minutes to do 1 page, is that faster or slower than if it takes 6 minutes to do a page? That's faster. So Rosa typed faster than Frank. That's true. Rosa typed 3 pages in 15 minutes. So I'm going to make another little chart out here for Rosa. 3 pages in 15 minutes. Are those equal to each other? You can check it. 5 times 3, 15. 15 times 1, 15. That is equal to each other. Another way you could have checked it, 5 times 3 is 15, and 1 times 3 is 3. You multiply the top and the bottom by both by 3 to keep it balanced, and you get that number. So number 3 is true. This is where we got tripped up. It's not 1 only. It's not just 2 and 3 only, because it's 1, 2, and 3. Or 1 and 2, and it's not 2 and 3 only, because it's 1, 2, and 3. So it would be none of the above. Tricky. I didn't like this problem. The measurements in the list below have which characteristics in common? Alright, so they converted everything to yards. Yards, 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 yards. So let's figure out how many yards all this is. That's 1 yard is, 1 mile is 1,760 yards. Okay, so when you add that to another 1,760, because there's 2 of them, that equals 3,520 yards. Okay, 72,000 inches. Okay, so 72,000 inches. We're going to use a WGU table. That was 1,760. Okay, I want to change inches to yards. Okay, and I know that there are 36 inches in 1 yard. Okay, because there's 3 feet in 1 yard, and 1 foot is 12 inches, so 12 plus 12 plus 12. You would be so much ahead of everybody if you memorize that. 36 inches in 1 yard. And we want to know what 72,000 inches would be. So now we're going to cross multiply 72,000 and times 1. Well, that's 72,000. And then we're going to divide it by 36. Okay, it takes 2 36s to make 72. That terminates, and then I have all these zeros over here. So that's equal to 2,000 yards. And then 3,000 feet. Let's do a WGU table for that also. Okay, 3,000 feet. I'll just do it right here. WGU, we're changing feet to yards. On the yellow reference paper, it tells you that there's 3 feet in a yard. What would 3,000 feet be? Cross multiply. 1 times 3,000 is 3,000. And divide it by 3, that's 1,000. So that's equal to 1,000. Each measurement is less than 4,000 yards. So that's less than 4,000, that's less than 4,000, that's less than 4,000. Each measurement is greater than 1,760. No, because this one right here was only 1,000. Each measurement is equivalent to 1,000. No. Each measurement is equivalent to 3,520. No. Okay. Mr. Davis drives 2,816 yards in 8 hours. How many miles did he drive in 8 hours? So we're calculating how many miles this is equal to. This is tricky. We're talking about yards and miles. And there's 1,760 yards in 1 mile. So what would 2,816 yards be? Cross multiply times 1, that's going to be 2,816. And then divide by 1,760. Okay, it goes in there once. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, but our cat, Max, is like having this fit out in the garage. He was a very bad kitty. Last night, he knocked over water. He got up on our counters while we were at the volleyball game, knocked over the waters, which should not have been there in the first place, got everything wet. He was sniffing in places he shouldn't have been. And he's sitting in a box out in the garage. He's probably cold. Poor baby. Maybe I'll go let him in. Okay, 1,760 goes into this number. Well, I'm going to use my answer choices to help me. The only thing that is 1 point anything is 1.6. So I'm going to put a 6 here to see if that is my answer. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 6 is 36. Ooh, I like it so far. 6 times 7 is 42, 43, 44, 45. Good, good. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 4 is 10. Woohoo! So there's my answer. In 1 hour, seamstress can sew 52 yards of material. How many yards can she sew in 45 minutes? Okay, so the thing about this is that our time is in 2 different units. Do we want it to be minutes or do we want it to be hours? Okay, well, it's asking for 45 minutes, so we probably should just put it all in minutes. So we have yards, and we have minutes, and that was 52 yards in 60 minutes. How many yards can she sew in 45 minutes? Okay, we can simply cross multiply and divide. Okay, cross multiply 45 times 52. Okay, that's 2,340. And then divide by 60. 60 doesn't go into 2, 60 doesn't go into 23, so 234, the closest I can get. 60 times 4 would be too big, that'd be 240, so times 3 is 180. 4, that's going to be 13 minus 8 is 5. It's going to be 9, 39, which is right here. Okay. The Dallas Animal Shelter has many kinds of animals. One Saturday, the shelter had 8 retrievers out of 28 total dogs. The expected total dog population for the year is 490. Determine how many total dogs they can expect to be retrievers. Okay, so we're talking about specifically retrievers and then total number of dogs. So they had 8 retrievers out of 28 dogs, and the total year, the total population for the whole year is 490. Okay, and so how many might be retrievers? We got to figure that out. So we're going to cross multiply, and then guess what? We're going to divide 3,920 divided by 28. So that's 1. That's going to be 4. And then we have zeros down here. So that's going to be 140. So you should have bubbled that in. Like that. There's the decimal. And then you would bubble in the 1 for the 0 and the 00 if you wanted to. You didn't have to. Okay, number 8. Maria's penny collection contains 3 Indian head pennies for every 36 Lincoln pennies. If Maria had 612 Lincoln pennies, how many Indian head pennies did she have? Okay, perfect. 1 for a WGU table. We're talking about Lincoln pennies and Indian head pennies. Okay, and they tell us that how they compare. 3 Indian head pennies for every 36 Lincoln pennies. If she has 612 Lincoln pennies, then how many Indian head pennies would she have? So let's cross multiply. 612 times 3. And then we're going to divide that by 36. 36 doesn't go into 1. 36 doesn't go into 18. But 36 into 183 would be about 5 times. That's 180. Subtract 3 minus 0 is 3. 36, 51. A can of mixed nuts holds 16 ounces of cashews and 24 ounces of peanuts. What's the ratio of peanuts to cashews in this can of nuts? We're talking about peanuts and cashews. Here's our given information, how they compare in the beginning. 16 ounces of cashews to 24 ounces of peanuts. What is the ratio of peanuts to cashews? So our ratio of peanuts to cashews, because peanuts is first, this first number needs to represent peanuts. And because cashews is second, the second number needs to represent cashews. So which one is delete that. Okay. Peanuts to cashews was 16 ounces at 24 to 16. So when you write that like a fraction, you can simplify that by 8. And you get 3 to 2, which is that one right there. All right, number 10. Maria runs a 5,000 meter race in 30 minutes. How long would it take her to run a 10-kilometer race? Okay, so how many Ks is this? K means kilometer. That's 1,000 meters. So this is a 5K. And they're wanting to know how long it would take to run a 10K. Well, that's twice that. That's double it. So double 30 minutes and you get an hour. What is the rule for adding integers with different signs? You subtract the numbers, and then the answer will have the sign of the most. Okay, so for instance, a rule for adding integers with different signs. 5 plus -3. Okay, we're going to subtract those to find, there's more 5s, there's more positives than there are negatives. How many more positives are there? You have to subtract to do that. 5 minus 3 is 2. And do I have more positives or do I have more negatives? I have more positives, so it's +2. What's the rule for dividing fractions? If you just said keep, flip, flip, I would be happy with that. You keep the first fraction the same. Flip the divide to multiply. Flip over the second fraction. Something like this. And then multiply. What is a rule for multiplying and dividing integers? Okay, if you just drew me a Chinese Dorito, I would be happy with that. Okay, if the signs are the same, your answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. All integers are rational numbers, but are all rational numbers considered integers? No. Integers are whole numbers and their opposites. No fractions or decimals like there are in rational numbers. Wish my handwriting was nice using one of these styluses. Okay, and then 3 things you hope to accomplish by the end of the school year. Hopefully pass the STAR test, buy my teacher 3 Musketeers candy bars, and buy my teacher flowers for her desk. Okay, that will give you a 100. There are fewer than 70 days left until the STAR test. What are 3 things you will do in mathematics to ensure you are successful on this important test? Buy my teacher 3 Musketeers. Okay, I'll read those.